No one's coming to save you. That's a hard truth most people spend their whole lives avoiding. We wait for someone to understand, to step in, to tell us what to do next, or to make things easier. But life doesn't work that way. No matter how much support, love, or advice you have, there comes a moment when it's just you standing in the silence of your own choices. And in that silence, you realize something powerful. The only person who can truly change your life is you. There's this quiet expectation we all carry that somehow someone will show up and hand us the clarity, motivation, or opportunity we've been waiting for. Maybe it's a mentor, maybe it's a partner, maybe it's some perfect time in the future. But that day never really comes, because life doesn't wait for your readiness, it moves. And if you don't move with it, you get left behind in the same cycle of waiting, hoping, and wondering why nothing changes. You have to be the one who takes that first uncomfortable step. You have to be the one who says, I don't know where this will lead, but I'm going anyway. Because the truth is, every breakthrough starts with a moment of self-responsibility. That quiet moment when you stop blaming the world, stop replaying your pain, and start saying, if it's going to happen, it has to start with me. And that's not an easy mindset to build. It feels unfair at times. You might look around and think, why do I have to do this alone? Why can't someone just help me? But what if doing it alone isn't a punishment? It's preparation. What if this season of solitude is exactly what's shaping you into someone strong enough to carry what's next? Because when no one's there to guide you, you learn to guide yourself. When no one checks on you, you learn to check in with yourself. You learn to keep going even when it feels like no one notices. And that's when real growth happens, not in the noise of validation, but in the quiet of self-discipline. Think about the people you admire most, the ones who've built something meaningful, who've risen from nothing. None of them waited for someone to hand them permission. They acted before they felt ready. They believed before they had proof. And they moved forward when it was uncomfortable, uncertain, and lonely, because they understood that no one was coming to save them, but that they could save themselves. When you accept that truth, something inside you shifts. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You stop hoping for motivation to strike. Instead, you create momentum by doing the hard thing today, by showing up even when no one claps, by believing even when no one else does. That's how you build confidence, not by being sure, but by moving forward despite your uncertainty. So if you're standing at a crossroads right now, wondering whether to wait or to act, stop waiting. The people who get ahead in life aren't the ones who had it easy. They're the ones who refuse to stay still. You don't need everything figured out to move forward. You just need to decide that your future deserves action today. No one's coming to save you. But that doesn't mean you're alone. It means you're powerful. It means you have everything inside you to rise, rebuild, and keep moving. You're not waiting for a savior. You're becoming your own. And that's where true strength begins. Discomfort is the price of progress. That's something nobody really tells you when you start chasing growth. We all love the idea of success, of improvement, of becoming our best selves. But what we don't love is what comes with it, the pain, the doubt, the loneliness, and the constant stretching of who we are. Growth is uncomfortable because it asks you to leave behind everything that feels safe. And when you're moving forward alone, that discomfort feels even heavier. Most people quit when things start to hurt. The moment it gets difficult, they take it as a sign to stop. But discomfort isn't a stop sign. It's a signal that you're in motion. It's proof that you're doing something different, something that matters. If you're too comfortable, you're not changing. And if you're not changing, you're not growing. Every time you feel that resistance, the fear, the uncertainty, the frustration, that's life trying to stretch you into someone stronger. You see, comfort is easy. It's predictable. You know exactly how it feels, and that's why most people live there. But comfort is also the reason so many dreams die quietly, because comfort tells you, stay here. It's safer. It whispers, you can always try later. And before you know it, later turns into never. If you want to move forward, especially when you're doing it alone, you have to be willing to walk through the discomfort that others avoid. It's not supposed to feel good all the time. It's supposed to challenge you, to make you question yourself, to push you to the edge of giving up. But that's where transformation happens. When you're standing in that space between what's familiar and what's next, that's where you grow. That's where you discover that the pain you thought would break you is actually shaping you. You might not see the results right away. You'll have days when it feels like you're putting in all the effort and getting nothing back. That's part of it. Growth is invisible before it's obvious. You plant seeds long before you see any sign of life. The discomfort you feel today is building the foundation for the strength you'll need tomorrow. Every time you push through a hard moment, you're teaching yourself that you can handle more than you thought you could. There's this quiet power that comes from enduring discomfort. Because once you've been through enough of it, fear starts to lose its control over you. You stop running from hard things because you realize they don't destroy you, they develop you. The late nights, the long days, the self-doubt, the silence, the waiting, those aren't signs that you're off track. Those are the ingredients of progress. They're the price you pay for the kind of life that's worth living. When you choose to face discomfort head on, you're saying to yourself, I'm not here to stay the same. And that's a powerful decision. Because most people don't make it that far. They choose comfort over change, excuses over effort, and then wonder why nothing feels fulfilling. But when you choose growth, even when it hurts, you're setting yourself apart. You're proving to yourself that your future matters more than your momentary comfort. So the next time you feel that tension, that fear, that heaviness that makes you want to stop, remember, it's not a sign to give up. It's a sign that you're evolving. You're leaving behind who you were and becoming who you're meant to be. Discomfort is not your enemy, it's your teacher. It's the thing that strips away your limits and introduces you to your strength. No one grows in the easy seasons. We grow in the stretch, in the struggle, in the silence. So don't run from the hard parts. Embrace them. Because every ounce of discomfort you endure today is building the version of you who won't just survive tomorrow, but thrive in it. You won't always feel like doing it. That's the truth most people don't want to accept. Motivation is not constant. It fades, inspiration runs out. There will be days when the last thing you want to do is move, when your body feels heavy and your mind tells you it's pointless. And in those moments, you have a choice to wait until you feel ready or to move anyway. Discipline means you move anyway. See, emotion is temporary. It changes with the weather, the mood, the noise around you. But discipline, that's steady. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. It doesn't care if you're tired or uninspired. It simply says, do what needs to be done. And that's the difference between people who grow and people who stay the same. The ones who move forward aren't the ones who always feel motivated. They're the ones who act despite the lack of it. There's this lie people believe that success comes when you're constantly inspired, when everything aligns perfectly, when you wake up every morning ready to conquer the world. But that's not reality. Success is built quietly in the moments when no one's watching, when you're exhausted, when you could easily make an excuse, and you don't. It's built on doing the small, boring, unglamorous things over and over again. The people who rely only on motivation never get far because motivation doesn't last. It's like a spark. It starts the fire, but it can't keep it burning. What keeps it burning is consistency, the willingness to show up even when it's inconvenient, even when it hurts, even when it feels like it doesn't matter. That's discipline. That's strength. That's where real progress begins. Discipline doesn't mean you don't have emotions. It means you don't let emotions control you. You acknowledge them, but you move through them. You learn to act according to your values, not your feelings. You may not want to work out today, but you value health. You may not want to study or build or create, but you value growth. Discipline reminds you of what you said you wanted when you were motivated, and it keeps you on that path when you're not. There's a certain power in doing what needs to be done, even when no one will notice. Because in those moments, you're proving something to yourself. You're building trust with yourself. Every time you follow through, you're telling your mind, I can rely on me. And that's how confidence is built, not through loud declarations, but through quiet consistency. You start to realize that you don't need perfect conditions or perfect feelings. You just need to start. When you stop letting your emotions dictate your actions, life changes. You stop being tossed around by circumstances. You become grounded. You become steady. You start moving toward what you want, even when it's hard, even when it's slow. And you look back and realize that the progress you've made didn't come from bursts of motivation. It came from the discipline to keep going on the days you didn't want to. It's easy to act when you're excited. It's easy to push forward when the energy is high. But real growth happens in the quiet, ordinary moments when you keep going anyway. That's what separates the dreamers from the doers. The dreamers wait to feel ready. The doers act their way into readiness. So when you wake up and don't feel like showing up, remember this, you don't have to feel like it to do it. The feelings will follow the action. Discipline first, emotion second. Keep your promises to yourself. Keep moving even if it's slow. Because every time you choose discipline over emotion, you're building a future that emotion alone could never create. Being alone isn't a punishment. It's preparation. It's the space where you learn to hear your own voice after the noise of everyone else fades away. Most people run from solitude because it feels empty, like silence means something's wrong. But being alone is not loneliness, it's clarity. It's where you discover what truly matters when no one's around to tell you who you should be. There comes a time in life when you have to step back from the crowd, not because you're better than anyone, but because you need to understand yourself without the constant influence of others. When you're surrounded by opinions, expectations, and distractions, it's hard to tell what's genuinely yours. But when you're alone, you start to see things differently. You start to notice your thoughts, your patterns, your truth. And that's where strength begins. It's easy to mistake solitude for isolation. Isolation drains you, solitude rebuilds you. Isolation says, you're abandoned. Solitude says, you're growing. When you stop filling every quiet moment with noise, scrolling, talking, comparing, you create space for something more meaningful. You create room for self-awareness, because the more you understand yourself, the less control the world has over you. When you move forward alone, you begin to realize that peace doesn't come from people. It comes from alignment. You don't need validation when you're clear about your purpose. You don't need applause when you know your direction. And that's what solitude teaches you, how to stand firm in who you are without leaning on the approval of others. The world moves fast, and everyone's trying to keep up. But sometimes the fastest way to move forward is to slow down, to disconnect, to sit with your own thoughts and ask yourself hard questions. What do I actually want? What am I pretending not to know? What's holding me back? Those questions only get answered when you give yourself permission to be still. At first, being alone might feel uncomfortable. You might crave the noise you used to escape into. You might miss the comfort of company, even if that company wasn't helping you grow. But the longer you sit with yourself, the stronger you become. You start to realize that you don't need constant reassurance. You don't need to be surrounded to feel significant. You start to like your own company. And that's a form of power that can't be taken from you. Because when you learn to walk alone, you stop fearing what happens when people leave. You stop depending on external validation to define your worth. You start moving for you, not for approval, not for applause. And the funny thing is, once you reach that point, when you no longer need people to complete you, you begin to attract the right ones. Because strong people recognize other strong people. They're drawn to someone who's grounded, self-aware, and whole. Solitude builds that version of you, the one who doesn't crumble when things fall apart, the one who can stand tall even when no one's standing beside them, the one who knows how to reset, rebuild, and rise without needing to be rescued. That's the kind of strength that comes only from walking through the quiet seasons, from learning to find comfort in your own company. So if you're in a season right now where you feel alone, don't rush to fill the space. Don't run from the quiet. Use it. Let it teach you what you couldn't see before. Because solitude isn't a void, it's a mirror. It reflects who you really are and what you're truly capable of. In that stillness, you'll find clarity. In that silence, you'll find direction. And in that solitude, you'll find strength. Not the kind that shouts, but the kind that lasts. Because once you learn to stand strong alone, you'll never again fear standing alone. Every step counts, even the small ones. Especially the small ones. It's easy to believe that progress only matters when it's big, noticeable, or impressive. But that's not how real growth works. Most of the time it's quiet. It's unglamorous. It's a collection of small choices that no one sees but you. Waking up early, staying consistent, showing up, even when it feels like nothing's changing. Those are the steps that build your future. We live in a world that celebrates the results but forgets the process. People clap for the success story, not the struggle behind it. But what they don't see are the countless little steps that led there, the sacrifices, the lonely nights, the failed attempts, the self-doubt that had to be pushed through again and again. Every great achievement is built on a pile of tiny efforts that didn't seem to matter at the time. When you're moving forward alone, it can feel like your progress is invisible. You might wonder if it's even worth it. You take one step, and it feels like nothing changes. You take another, and it still feels slow. But here's the truth: progress is often invisible until it isn't. You don't see the growth happening day by day, but one day you'll look back and realize how far you've come. Every small effort compounds. Every action, no matter how small, moves you closer. The mistake most people make is waiting for the big leap. They want to skip the slow climb, skip the discomfort, skip the discipline. But skipping the small steps means skipping the strength that comes from them. Every step, even the awkward, uncertain ones, teaches you something. You learn to trust yourself a little more. You learn that effort counts, even when it feels insignificant. Because it's not the size of the step that matters, it's the direction you're moving in. You can't build confidence overnight. You build it through repetition. You earn it through small victories that add up over time. You won't feel proud after every step, but keep taking them anyway. Because the moment you stop, the moment you start waiting for the perfect opportunity, that's when you lose momentum. Forward is forward. Even if it's slow, even if it's messy, even if it's uncertain, it's still progress. Think about climbing a mountain. From the bottom, it looks impossible. You look up and it feels overwhelming. But when you take that first step, the mountain doesn't move, you do. You take another step and another. You stop focusing on how far there is to go and start focusing on the next small move you can make. Eventually, step by step, you reach the top. That's how life works. Success isn't one big leap. It's thousands of tiny, deliberate steps. When you're walking this path alone, remember that no one else can see the effort behind your progress. They'll only see the result later. But that's okay. You're not doing it for applause. You're doing it for you. Every step, no matter how unseen, is a promise to your future self. It's a message that says, I won't quit on me. There will be days when you feel stuck, when it feels like you're not moving fast enough. On those days, remind yourself movement is movement. You don't have to sprint. You don't have to leap. You just have to keep walking, because the steps that seem small now are the ones that will carry you the farthest later. So don't underestimate the power of a single step. Don't dismiss the effort just because it doesn't make noise. You're building something even when it's quiet. You're getting stronger even when it's slow. And one day you'll look back at the trail behind you and realize that every little step mattered. The ones that hurt, the ones that felt pointless, the ones you almost didn't take, they all counted. They all moved you forward. Every step counts. Especially the ones you take when no one's watching.